talked about this was going to be a bloodbath, and it is just like we thought it was going to be.
Top 10 NFL rivalries of all time. What's the greatest rivalry in NFL history? Over 200 games across a century.
Be cool, we gotta finish. We gotta finish, that's all.
2 timeouts for the Steelers.
Championship dreams crushed in the final seconds. Snowballs are thrown at players. Quarterbacks telling hostile crowds, "I own you." These aren't just football games. These are wars between cities, franchises, and generations. Here's the truth. These 10 rivalries created hatred, respect, and moments that transcend football. This isn't just a ranking. This is the definitive list of the greatest rivalries in NFL history.
Very strange to see even the staunchest Steelers and Browns fans actually hugging today here in Cleveland.
Number 10, the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the oldest rivalries between Rust Belt cities is separated by 135 miles. The rivalry began in 1950 and has been played 148 times, with Pittsburgh leading with a record of 83, 63, and 1. From 1950 to 1969, Cleveland dominated, winning 38 of 54 meetings with Hall of Fame coach Paul Brown and running back Jim Brown. But the 1970s changed everything. The Steelers built their Steel Curtain dynasty, winning 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. From 1970 to 2024, Pittsburgh has won 73 of 107 meetings. The ugliest moment came on November 14, 2019, when Browns defensive end Myles Garrett ripped off Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph's helmet and hit him with it. Garrett was suspended indefinitely in one of the NFL's darkest incidents. Despite Cleveland's struggles, beating Pittsburgh is celebrated like a championship. This rivalry represents AFC North football, where toughness matters most. Number 9, the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles, an NFC East rivalry spanning 9 decades between cities 90 miles apart. The rivalry began in 1933 and has been played 190 times, with the Giants leading with a record of 92, 88, and 2. The famous 1960 NFL Championship saw Philadelphia defeat New York 17-13 when Chuck Badnarek's tackle of Frank Gifford on the final play preserved the victory. The 2000s featured championship success for both teams. New York won Super Bowls 42 and 46 with Eli Manning. Philadelphia won Super Bowl 52 with backup quarterback Nick Foles. The most memorable modern game came on December 19, 2010, when the Giants trailed 31-10 before Manning engineered a comeback, throwing for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns to win 38-31 in the Miracle at the new Meadowlands. The rivalry reached peak intensity in 2014 when Victor Cruz mocked Eagles fans after scoring. Philadelphia threw snowballs and batteries, living up to their reputation as the NFL's most hostile fan base. Number 8, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals, a modern AFC North rivalry featuring elite quarterbacks and consistently close games. The rivalry began in 1996 when the Browns relocated to Baltimore. Both teams guaranteed 2 divisional battles each season, fostering intense competition. The modern era features Lamar Jackson for Baltimore and Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. 4 of the last 5 meetings have been decided by 1 score, showcasing how evenly matched these teams really are. On December 26, 2024, Baltimore edged Cincinnati 35-34 in a controversial thriller that had playoff implications for both teams. The competitiveness and star power make this must-see television twice a year. The rivalry represents the new generation of NFL competition, with 2 dynamic quarterbacks leading high-powered offenses. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings, an AFC North rivalry featuring border state battles and legendary quarterbacks. Dating back to 1961, the Packers lead 66, 60, and 3 in one of the most evenly matched rivalries. The rivalry exploded in 2009 when Brett Favre, who spent 16 seasons with Green Bay, joined Minnesota. Wide receiver Randy Moss mooned the Green Bay crowd during the 2004 playoff game, creating an iconic moment. The rivalry intensified as Favre led Minnesota to victories over his former team. Recent years have seen the game remain competitive, with both teams trading wins. The late-season matchups often decide divisional titles and playoff seeding. This rivalry represents pure divisional hatred between bordering states, where every game matters. Number 6, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys. 2 of the NFL's most successful franchises are battling for NFC supremacy. Dallas leads the regular season series 20-19-1 over 40 meetings, but the playoff battles defined this rivalry with 8 postseason matchups, tied for the most in NFL history. The 1981 NFC Championship featured Dwight Clark making the catch to beat Dallas 28-27. Joe Montana rolled right under pressure and threw high to the back of the end zone, sending San Francisco to their first Super Bowl. From 1992 to 1994, these teams met in 3 straight NFC Championship games. The winner went to the Super Bowl every time. The 49ers led the playoff series 5-3, but both teams have 5 Super Bowls each. The rivalry symbolizes the battle between Joe Montana and Steve Young's precision versus Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin's physical dominance. Number 5. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. The most physical rivalry in modern NFL history. The rivalry began in 1996 when Cleveland relocated to Baltimore. These teams have met 63 times, with the Steelers leading 36-27. Despite starting in 1996, this immediately became the NFL's most intense rivalry. The 2008 AFC Championship featured brutal hits, including Ryan Clark's knockout hit on Willis McGahee that left both players unconscious. Pittsburgh won all 3 meetings that year by a combined 11 points, advancing to win Super Bowl 43. The greatest offensive game came in 2017 when the Steelers won 39-38. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 506 yards in an incredible performance. 40 of their 63 meetings have been decided by 1 score. Mike Tomlin leads the coaching matchup 22-17 against John Harbaugh, the most wins by one coach over another in the Super Bowl era. The Steelers and Ravens combined for 8 Super Bowl championships and 16 division titles. Number 4. The Oakland Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs, an AFL rivalry born in 1960 featuring violent hits and legendary coaches. Both teams were founding members of the American Football League. The Chiefs led 71-55-2 across 128 meetings. The 1960s and 1970s featured coaching legends Hank Stram for Kansas City and John Madden for Oakland. One infamous moment came in 1970 when Raiders linebacker Ben Davidson delivered a late hit on Chiefs quarterback Len Dawson, sparking a massive brawl. The physical nature became legendary. One of the greatest games came in 2003 when Kansas City overcame a 24-0 deficit to beat Oakland 31-30. The modern era features Patrick Mahomes dominating for Kansas City with 3 Super Bowl championships. This rivalry represents old-school AFL football with modern intensity. When these teams meet, expect a fight. Number 3. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The most bitter rivalry in the NFC East between cities that genuinely hate each other. The rivalry began in 1960 and has been played 134 times, with Dallas leading 75-59. The most infamous moments came during the Bounty Bowls of 1989, when Eagles coach Buddy Ryan was accused of placing bounties on Cowboys players. In September 2000, Philadelphia shocked Dallas 41-14 in the pickle juice game. The Eagles reportedly drank pickle juice just to stay hydrated in 109-degree heat while crushing their rivals. The rivalry reached peak toxicity when Terrell Owens left Philadelphia to join Dallas in 2006. When Owens returned, Eagles fans threw snowballs and debris. Philadelphia won 38-24. In 2017, the Eagles won their first Super Bowl after defeating Dallas twice. Philadelphia celebrated by tearing down light poles. This is pure hatred. Dallas represents glamour and success. Philadelphia represents blue-collar toughness. Neither side respects the other, and that makes it incredible. Number 2. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. The rivalry defines the modern AFC with elite quarterbacks and playoff battles. This rivalry intensified in recent years as both teams became AFC powerhouses. Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen represents the present and future of the quarterback position. The teams have met in some of the highest stakes games. In the 2024 AFC Championship game, Kansas City defeated Buffalo 32-29 in a thriller that featured questionable play calling and controversial officiating. The Bills have struggled to beat Kansas City in the postseason despite regular season success. The psychological edge belongs to Mahomes and the Chiefs, who have won 3 Super Bowls. The rivalry averages 98% attendance in their 3 most recent meetings. When these teams play, it's appointment television with championship implications. This represents the new generation of NFL rivalries, built on stakes rather than history. Number 1. the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears, the oldest and greatest rivalry in NFL history. The rivalry began on November 27, 1921, when the Chicago Staleys defeated the Packers 20-0. The Staleys became the Bears the next year. They've played 210 times, with Green Bay leading 108, 96, and 6, making it the most played matchup in NFL history. Why is this number one? History. The rivalry started in 1921, over 100 years of uninterrupted competition. No other matchup has been played more. Championships. The Packers have 13 total championships, including 4 Super Bowls. The Bears have 9 total championships, including 1 Super Bowl. Together, they've won 22 championships, more than any other rivalry. Geographic proximity. Green Bay and Chicago are 206 miles apart in the upper Midwest, where football is a way of life. The 1920s and 1930s featured coaching legends George Halas for Chicago and Curly Lambeau for Green Bay. In 1924, the rivalry produced the NFL's first ejection for fighting when Frank Haney and Walter Voss were thrown out after punching each other. The most famous coaching matchup came on November 26, 1967, when Vince Lombardi faced Halas for the last time. Green Bay won 17-13, an emotional game captured by photographers. The 1980s saw Chicago dominate behind Mike Ditka and the 1985 Super Bowl championship team. The Bears won 10 of 11 from 1984 to 1988. But the 1990s and 2000s belonged to Green Bay. Brett Favre won 22 games against Chicago from 1992 to 2007. Favre won 11 straight games without a loss in Chicago from 1994 to 2005. Aaron Rodgers continued the dominance, going 25-5 against Chicago as a starter. On October 17, 2021, after scoring at Soldier Field, Rodgers shouted at Bears fans, "I own you, I own you, I still own you." The comment became legendary. The only playoff meeting in the Super Bowl era came in the 2010 NFC Championship. The Packers beat the Bears 21-14 at Soldier Field to advance to Super Bowl 45, which they won. The most controversial moment came on November 23, 1986, when Packers defensive tackle Charles Martin body slammed Jim McMahon after an interception. McMahon suffered a separated shoulder that ended his season. Martin was suspended for 2 games. Current Packers coach Matt LaFleur is 11-0 against the Bears through November 2024. The streak ties to the longest in the rivalry's history. Only 3 points separate the teams in total scoring over 210 games. The Bears have scored 3,686 points. The Packers have scored 3,683 points. That's how evenly matched this rivalry has been for over a century. This is the greatest rivalry in NFL history because it combines everything. History stretches back 100 years. Geographic proximity creates genuine hatred. Championship stakes, legendary players and coaches on both sides, moments that define careers. Steelers versus the Ravens is more physical. Cowboys versus Eagles has more pure hatred. But Packers versus Bears is the standard. This is the rivalry all others are measured against. This is NFL history. This is tradition. This is the greatest rivalry in professional football. These 10 rivalries represent the best in NFL history, from the century-long battles between the Packers and Bears to the modern intensity of Chiefs versus Bills. Each rivalry brings something unique. The Packers and Bears stand at number 1 because of their unmatched history, over 210 games across 100 years. This rivalry helped build the NFL. The Chiefs and Bills represent modern football with elite quarterbacks and playoff stakes. The Cowboys and Eagles embody pure hatred between 2 cities that despise each other. Every rivalry on this list has shaped the NFL with moments, legends, and memories that define the sport. Thanks for watching this journey through NFL rivalries. Hit subscribe for more football content. And remember, rivalries make sports special. They create passion, intensity, and unforgettable moments. That's what makes the NFL great.